like how to solve, telling you some examples with few questions. And in this video today, we'll continue with practicing sentence correction questions, and let's see like how those how we can remember the rules, and then we can solve it within the given time. So this video is going to be more of a practice, so you can note down side by side, you can note down the rules. If you require materials, you can post your mail ID in the comment section, so I will try to send you the materials whatever I have. So basically, as I told you in the earlier video, the one thing that you have to remember is, no matter like how much you are trying to learn the rules, you have to continuously practice by solving questions. So only when you solve questions you can master those rules, and you can find out for which sentence, for which particular question, which rule can be applicable. This you can do only out of practice. So my suggestion uh, is like, you have to solve as many questions as possible in order to master those rules. So without wasting much time, let's straight away go to the session, and I'll try to show you the video. Okay, now in the last video we were solving up to fifth question, so we'll continue from sixth one. So if you look at this sentence, you see, as he stood below the shower, the sharp jets of ice cold water revived his spirit. Now, if you look at this sentence, basically we use this term called as he stood. Okay, this is just in the past tense, right? So as he was standing like that, as he stood below the shower, the sharp jets of ice cold water revived his spirit. Now when you look at the other parts of the sentence, as you see, like below the shower, there's nothing wrong. The sharp jets of ice cold water is kind of descriptive. I would say that it is wrong, because it's the author or whoever has written it is trying to be a little creative, and he wants to make it more beautiful, like as we use figurative language in English. So that's how it is being written, and I don't find any errors here. The sharp jets of ice cold water revived his spirit. Now, if you look at the last, I mean, like this fourth part, you can see ice cold water revived his spirit. Now, basically, what is spirit? Spirit means it refers to, the soul, right? Or something that gives life to an organism. Okay, it's considered as spirit. In English we say Holy Spirit when referring to the Almighty, right, or God. So basically what happens is, no we normally don't say spirit no, when we are using it with sentences like this. So we have to say, no, ice cold water revived his spirits. And that's how we have to say. So you have to add yes here, so that the sentence would become perfect. So if you look at the error, there is no error, because I mean, like there is no error in the other part of the sentence, only in this particular part, like ice cold water revived his spirits needs to be the answer. So let's just look at the answer, you'll get an idea. Yeah, see, you can see that we have to add yes to it, right? Fine. Now in this question, the man who I've often mentioned is one whose friendship I could wish to acquire because he's a respectable man. Now here we are talking about a person, and the speaker is telling that he seems to be good, and I wish to acquire like his friendship because he seems to be respectable. Now if you look at the construction of this sentence, in the first part we have the man, And yeah, we definitely say the man, the women, like there is no problem. I told you earlier that this definite article, the is basically used for both singular and plural subjects. Now, you can say the man or the men. So both are correct. So this is very flexible. This article is very flexible, right? Now, the man who I have often mentioned is one whose friendship. Now here, if you just look at how the sentence is arranged, you will find this man is not acting as a subject. I mean, not completely acting as a subject, rather than it receives something where it tries to act as an object. So whenever we try to speak about someone or something uh, from an objective point of view, okay, instead of subjective, what we have to do is we have to use whom, okay. So you'll have to say the man whom I have. Now I basically takes the plural auxiliary verb have. So this is correct, okay. The only thing that we have to change here is the man whom I have often mentioned is one whose friendship. Now, if you look at here, you see we are talking about a singular subject, the man, and you can see this, and then you can the usage of auxiliary verb is here is correct. There is nothing wrong here. So often mentioned is one whose friendship I could wish to acquire. So there is no error in I could wish to acquire. It's just it's just a kind of expectation that this person has. See, the possibility depends, okay. We are not worried about that. Now I could wish to acquire, because again we see that he is taking a singular auxiliary verb, like because he is a respectable man. Now like man again is singular, and now writing a respectable man is nothing wrong. So basically there is no error in no any of the other parts except in part B, where the man whom I have should be the answer. So let's look at the answer. Yeah, see, the man whom I have often mentioned is one whose friendship I could wish to acquire, because he is a respectable man. Okay, so the error is here, and you just have to remember that whenever we treat a subject or a subject appears no in terms of objective in nature, then instead of who you're supposed to use whom. So that's how you will remember this rule, right? So basically what happens here is no, as soon as you are able to look at the sentence, I told you that you have to identify the subject and check with subject verb agreements. You have to see whether the auxiliary verbs or verbs which are being used in the sentence is matching with the subject. So if it does not, then there is an error in subject verb agreement. If it does, then there should be some other error which you have to focus. So basically what I'm trying to say is you should be capable enough to identify the rule from the sentence that you are given. So if you look at the sentence, you should remember the rules. This is how you have to study. And for this, no, you have to practice a lot. Okay, it's not possible if you're just reading the rule and if you're not practicing it. So you have to solve questions. And I'm stressing this again and again. Okay, just reminding you that solving questions is a very important steps in mastering the rules, right? Okay, let's go to the next question. Now here, in my youth, I used to visit Sharma's and Chawla's company. Now, anyone looking at the sentence will be easily finding out that there is something wrong with the fourth part, that is Sharma's and Chawla's company. Now, if you look at the first part, in my youth, and we don't see anything wrong there. See, we are talking about in my childhood, in my youth, in my adolescent age, so there is nothing wrong with the construction in this part. I used to. Now, this is an expression that we all use. See, we used to say, like I used to. play cricket when I was a child. I used to watch movies, a few years ago, but now I'm not watching movies. So this expression I used to is, it's talking about a habit which you have been doing for some time, but now you're not doing. So basically, it is correct. So visit again, I don't think there is anything wrong in the visit. Now, if you look at this part now, Sharma's and Chawla's company. Now, basically, we are talking about here about just one company, okay, or we're talking about an individual company. And when we are referring to a company with like kind of two names, like Sharma and Chawla's, you just have to remember that the apostrophe has to come at the second word, not in the first word, because they are not different. They are same. It's talking about one single company, and it's just that maybe two people have started that company, or it's a family name, something like that. Okay, so what you have to remember is the apostrophe needs to come only at the second part. So it needs to be written as Sharma and Chawla's company. Okay, if you can change that, then there will not be any error in the sentence. Now, you have to mark that the error is in this particular part. So that's fourth part. Like if you keep A, B, C, D, the error is in fourth part. Okay, and the error is in the apostrophe. Now please note that there could be questions on punctuations as well. So you have to focus on that also. And it doesn't happen very frequently. So sometimes you might get questions on, apostrophe. Now, this is one thing that you have to understand. Now, okay, you can look at the answer here. In my youth, I used to visit Sharma and Chawla's company. Okay, so the error is in this part. We'll move to the next question. Okay, the doctor said patient should not have wasted a whole week before coming for help. Now here we come to know that the doctor is looking at a person, I mean as patient, and saying that he should not have wasted time and he should have come in advance. Okay, that's the thing that is being expressed. So if you look at the sentence like no, in the first part we have the doctor said. Now basically we say the doctor said or the teacher said. There's nothing wrong with the sentence or the expression. So we'll skip this. Now next you see patient. Now I don't think there is anything wrong with the word patient because no, it's referring to the clients whom the doctor is seeing. Okay, so basically there is no error. Okay, the doctor said patient should not have wasted. Now here again we don't have any like error because it's like a it's like a kind of expectation, or it's like kind of the procedure. Okay, usually patients should never waste time when it comes to any problem with their physical or mental health. So they have to check the doctor as soon as they feel abnormal. You cannot waste time because it may result in other complications. So the sooner you go to a doctor, it's better. So that is what is expressed in this uh, place. So I don't think there is any error in this part now. A whole week before coming for help. Now that here the doctor is just saying the patient should have come a week before. It's like he has wasted a whole week, before trying to come to him. So the expression seems to be correct. There is nothing wrong here. But if you look closely, you will identify that the doctor said patient. Now, something is wrong with this second part. Now, basically, when we are talking about someone whom we already know, that is the listener and the speaker. Imagine if they know about whom they are talking, then there is a rule in article that you have to use the, because the refers to definite. It gives you a definite idea about whom we are talking to. okay, the person whom we are talking about. So it's like more of no emphasis. Now here, the doctor said. Now here, if you look at the speaker, he says that uh, the doctor means they know which doctor it is. It's very particular. Okay, that's why we call it as definite article. The doctor said, fine. Now I understand that we are talking about one particular doctor. Both the speaker and the listener knows who it is, right? But then if you look at the word patient, we don't have a clue on which patient this does this doctor referring to. We don't have any idea, okay? And it's too general and it is confusing. Okay, so if somebody tends to read this, maybe they'll understand who's the doctor, but then they'll have no clue which patient. And whoever is there listening to this person who's speaking will not understand which person. Imagine if the same sentence is spoken in a hospital to somebody, and if the doctor speaks generally. Now in a hospital there could be a lot of patients, and will not be very clear about which patient is the doctor referring to. Okay, so what we have to do is we have to just supply this word with a definite article. So this needs to be written as the doctor said the patient should not have wasted a whole week before coming for help. Now if you change it in that way, the sentence would become right. So you can look at the solution here. The doctor said the patient should not have wasted a whole week before coming for help. Now this is what you have to do with this question. Okay. Now let's move on to the next question. Okay. Here, if you look at, we have a sentence. This girl wrote an essay so well that her teacher was exceedingly pleased with her. Now, when you look at this sentence, see, I'm reading it very slowly because we are trying to practice here. But then in the, I mean, the more you learn and the more you try to master, you have to solve it very fast, right? So slowly you have to pick up speed. But if you look at this sentence, we have this girl wrote an essay so well that a teacher was exceedingly pleased with her. Now here we see that the teacher is really happy with the way the girl has written her essay. So we'll look at part by part. Now this girl, definitely there's nothing wrong with that, because we say this book, we say this table, we say this furniture, like similarly we say this girl. So the expression is right. Wrote an essay. Now it's just in the past tense. Okay, instead of right we have wrote an essay. Okay, there's nothing wrong there. Okay, this girl wrote an essay. Okay, so well that, okay, it's good because it tells about how the essay is. So it's well written. That's what it is meaning. So well that a teacher was exceedingly pleased. Now exceed means more, and exceedingly means like very much. Okay, very happy, pleased, happy. Okay, so her teacher was exceedingly pleased with her. So this means that the teacher is happy about how the girl has written her essay. Now, no, at the outset, if you just look at this sentence, there seems to be like everything is perfect. But if you closely observe it, you will find the error. Now here, no, we see this girl wrote an essay so well that. Now here, in the second part, we have a problem. Now, we know which girl it is because they are pointing out this girl. We say this girl. Okay, so we are very particular about which girl the teacher is referring to. Okay, so the expression is correct in the first one. But if you look at the second one, we have wrote an essay. If you look at that, no, you will see that we are not very clear about which essay it is. The girl could have written few essays, and no, the teacher in particular talks about which essay. We don't have a clue. So here we have to make sure that Again, we are using a definite article. So this needs to be written as, this girl wrote the essay so well that her teacher was exceedingly pleased with her. Now, if I change an into the, if I make an indefinite article into a definite article, the whole sentence becomes right. Now, we know which girl it is, and we also know which essay they are talking about. Okay, so if you look at the solution, you can see that this girl wrote the essay. So we have to be very definite about which essay. Okay, but if you just look at the sentence and if you just know read it, you'll find it that there is no mistake most of the time, because sentence correction questions are sometimes quite complex, because you will not know where is the error, because everything sounds to be very natural. And especially when we try to communicate in India, most of us are focusing more on the message that we want to convey. Okay, it's just that people want to understand each other. They are not much worried about whether the language they are using is right or wrong, and they don't monitor their language. So it's just that if I speak, I'm just making sure that I'm trying to deliver whatever I can in my own style. Okay, there could be grammar mistakes, there could be construction mistakes, so I don't really worry about it. I just speak. Okay, and the person who's hearing me is not worried about whether I'm speaking right or wrong. So he just cares about the message that I'm trying to deliver. Okay, so when in this context, what happens is when we don't focus on the mistakes, we don't learn. So it's my suggestion that when you try to speak, see whether you're using the right words, see whether you're using, the choice of words that you use when it comes to communication is very important. So you have to make sure that you use the right words. And similarly, you have to also make sure that whatever you're trying to speak is grammatically correct. Okay, it takes time. I'm not saying that you have to be perfect. What I'm trying to say is as you speak, you should also learn how to be perfect. Okay, so only then you can be an effective speaker. Okay, imagine if a public speaker makes a lot of mistakes. No, people will not feel good about it. So you have to take efforts in changing things with your language, especially. So in one of the video, I've told that grammar is not that important. But what I'm trying to tell now is, see, what I told in that particular video is, I said, when you're beginning to learn language or speak language, you don't focus much on grammar. Okay, because our ultimate objective is to make sure that we open our mouth and speak. So once you are familiarizing yourself with speaking and you feel confident enough to deliver, then slowly you can focus on grammar, because you can already speak. And now if you add grammar, it would be more like adding some flavor to the dish that you're preparing, and it would come out very tasteful. So that's how you plan. Okay, so you design, you speak in a way which is very clear, which is very concise. And when we talk about being concise, don't overload your whatever you're trying to speak with too much of complex sentences. Make it very simple. Okay, so it would be very interesting if you can make it very simple. Now, these are certain things that we have to talk about, maybe in a communicative class. Now, as of, okay, we'll get back to it. Now, if you look at this sentence, as I told you, now this girl seems to be very particular, but then there is, wrote, an essay that particular, no, being particular is missing. So we have to add a definite article so that it becomes particular. Now we have a clear idea about which girl and which essay no, they are talking about. Okay, let's move on to the next question. Okay, the old man told his son that there was no such thing for luck and no error. Okay, If you look at the sentence, you see the old man told his son that there was no such thing for luck. Let's again come from uh, the first part. The old man told. I told you that there is nothing wrong in this, because you can either say the old man said or the old man told. Okay, this is just about what the person said. So we don't see anything problematic with this expression. Now his son that. Okay, to whom is he speaking? He is speaking to his son that. Okay, good. There is nothing wrong here. There was no such thing. Okay, there was no such thing. There was no such problem. There was no such uh, requirement. No, when you use the same sentence with other words or other examples, you'll find out easily whether it is right or wrong. So you need to have some prior knowledge about whatever we are trying to uh, mean the words that we are trying to see here. So one good thing would be to compare this sentence with some other sentence which you have been using in life. Okay, so you just have to replace some words and see whether this sounds good, and you have to do this like within a short time, so that you don't waste much time. So there was no such thing for luck. Now here, if you look at the fourth part, it is for luck. Now usually we use as after such. Okay, and it's used like a comparison. The old man told his son that like there was no such thing as luck. There's no such thing as luck. There's no such requirement. Something like that. Okay, but here the preposition for is wrong. Instead, you have to use as. The old man told his son that there was no such thing as luck. Okay, the old man believes that hard work is more important, and like luck is not, according to him, the right way of looking at success, maybe. Okay, this is what they are trying to explain. So as far as the answer is concerned, the problem is with the fourth part, and this for preposition needs to be replaced by as. So let's look at the answer. You see, the old man told his son that there was no such thing as luck. Okay, so you mark this as the answer. Fine. Now here is an interesting question. We have bacteria is probably the most common form of life on earth. Okay, if you just read like that, you will not notice any error. Okay, bacteria is probably the most common form of life on earth. Okay, bacteria is, what is wrong? Nothing is wrong. We say bacteria, yeah, we say bacteria. I don't say anything wrong in it. Okay, probably the most. Yes, we used to say probably the most. I mean, like, we say that probably the most. He is probably the most popular person in this country. No? See, he is probably the most popular person in this country. There's nothing wrong with that. Okay, common form. Okay, again, there's nothing wrong. Common form, general form, fine. Of life on earth. Okay, so should we choose like no error is the answer for this question? Because nothing seems to be odd here, right? So everything seems to be right. Yes. So would no error be the answer? Okay, let's think about it. Now, I don't find any error in other parts of the sentence. The only concern is what you have to know is, if you know about a word, you should know whether that word is singular or plural. If it's singular, you should know the plural version. Or if you feel that it's the plural, then you have to know what is the singular form of that word. Now, bacteria, generally speaking, is plural in term. Bacteria is not singular, but it appears to be singular. And people know, when they look at bacteria, they feel that it looks like singular. Bacteria, because the plural form is bacterium. It's called as bacterium. That's the, I mean, like the singular form. Sorry, the singular form is bacterium. Okay. Now, but then we don't use bacterium much when we speak. We say virus and bacteria, right? We always say that about virus and bacteria, right? So bacterium is something that we don't use much, but then this sentence, there is this subject verb agreement here problem. Okay, so if you look at this sentence here, it needs to be rewritten as bacterium is probably the most common form of life on earth. Bacteria is a plural word, a plural subject, which cannot be used with auxiliary verb is. Now, you can also think in this way. Now, for example, if I put bacterium here, now everything would be correct. Now, bacterium is, because bacterium is singular and the auxiliary verb is singular. Now, this seems to match. But you can ask me, why can't we change the auxiliary verb here? So if you write bacteria, then you have to use a plural. Either you have to say where or are. Now bacteria are probably the most common form of life on earth. It doesn't sound proper because we are talking about a singular species. We are not talking about multiple species, right? We are talking about just bacteria. So it should be no, you can't put the auxiliary verb. You can't change the auxiliary verb. So it's better to modify the subject here. So you use a singular subject. So bacterium is probably the most. Now we are talking specifically about bacterium. So we are talking about one no particular species or organism, whatever it is. Okay, we are talking about that, and that's the reason why we are using the most. And there is another rule also here. It is also referring to this subject. And another rule is whenever you use the superlative degree. For example, you say the best, okay, the most, the worst. So you have to always use the definite article the with the superlative degree. Okay, uh, because we have three degrees in English. They are positive, comparative, and superlative. So you would say the most, the best, the worst. So if you look at this in that context, this seems to be right. So let's look at the answer. And if you see the answer, it's bacterium is probably the most common form of life on earth. So the error is here. So bacteria needs to be rewritten as bacterium. Okay, now let's go to the next question. Okay, if you look at this question, we see that different authorities defines intelligence in different ways. Now, we start this sentence with the word different. Now, different means variety. Okay, we are talking about, say, like two or more varieties, right? Now, different. Okay, so we can come to a conclusion that we are talking something about plural. Okay, but then you cannot treat different as a subject. Okay, it's not a subject here. Okay, because it doesn't do any action. It is not a subject. It doesn't initiate an action. So different authorities. Now look at the next word. The next word is authorities, and the singular form of authorities is authority. You understand? So that means authorities is plural. Now you can combine these words together. Now you can say different authorities. Now consider them as subject. Now it's a plural subject. Now, different authorities. We are talking about different, different maybe sections or different fields or different officials. Okay, whoever it is, right? So we are talking about many. Okay, so different authorities defines. Now here we have defines. Now basically defines is singular because see define means plural and defines is singular. I told you when you add yes to a verb, because defining is a process, it's an action, right? So when you add yes to the word define, it becomes singular. Now as far as verb is concerned, it's not a noun. No, it's not a noun. Only in noun you will have to, as I told you in the previous video, only in a noun you will have to add yes or es or ies to make it plural. Okay, but then when you add yes to a verb, it becomes singular. And here we are talking about several authorities, so or many authorities, different authorities. So we are talking about something plural. So different authorities. Now it should take a plural verb. So I would say different authorities define, okay, define intelligence in different ways. Again, we are talking about ways, which is plural. No, there are many ways in which people define, intelligence. That's what we try to understand. So we have to replace the term defines with define. Now let's look at the answer. See, different authorities define intelligence in different ways. Now this is how you have to solve, right? See, I'm trying to solve many questions here. I wouldn't be able to solve every question here, and I don't think it's necessary also, because I've given you a rough idea about how this works. But then with every question, there is some rule associated with that question. You have to look at the question and then try to identify which rule can be applicable. Now, this is the knowledge that you have to acquire. So, see, as soon as I look at the question, I understand, the error should be in this part, or we have to use this rule, because I've been with it for some time. So, I've been practicing, I've been teaching, I've been learning. So, I'm able to do that. So, similarly, it's very easy to do it. And I remind you, this is one topic where you can score well. Okay, vocabulary is a topic where you will lose your marks, because most of us are not familiar about a lot of new words. Okay, so if they tend to give you unfamiliar words, then you have to guess your answers, and your guess could go wrong and you can lose your scores. But that doesn't happen with topics like this, because if you know the rule, you'll be able to solve. The only thing that is required from your side is just practice. Okay, and you have to solve, as I told you, and you have to be passionate about what you do. If you lose interest, if you're not interested, this is going to be really difficult, right? Okay. Now, if you look at this question, the classical systems of dance has many features in common. The classical systems of dance. We are talking about the classical, maybe the traditional, okay? And there is some emphasis on uh, the word classical. So we are specifically referring to classical. And we are not talking about anything contemporary or modern, right? We are talking about classical, maybe a specific genre, okay? So here, what happens is that we are using a definite article, okay? Because it is very particular. It speaks about something particular, okay? The classical systems of dance. Now here, you look at the word systems. Now it's plural in sense. You understand? And it's associated with dance. Okay, that means there are a lot of systems in dance. There are a lot of systems in dance. And like we are talking about the classical systems. That means that when you take up the dance, and especially when you take up classical dance, there are many systems or procedures or processes, whatever it is, right? We have a lot of things with classical systems of dance. Now, till here, things seems to be okay. Classical systems of dance has many features. Now, if you look at this word, many features, again, because systems seems to be plural, again, we are using, a plural expression, many. Many means, okay, several, okay. Uh, Many features, again I've used plural. See, features, I don't say feature, I say features. Okay, so again things seems to be correct. In common, you can skip in common, because it's no, things are in common. That means like they seem to be same, so there's no error in that. But there is a problem with the second expression, that is the classical systems of dance has. Now has is a singular auxiliary verb, but then everything seems to be plural here. See the word classical systems, and then many, then features, everything seems to be, even systems, everything seems to be plural. But then this auxiliary verb is having some problem. So if you consider the word the classical systems, because you have to combine them, the classical could mean nothing. What is classical? You'll get that question. The classical means what is classical? What are we talking about? There are many things that are classical. Okay, am I talking about music? Am I talking about dance? Am I talking about lyrics? Or am I talking about architecture or art, painting? What is that I'm talking about? You see, that is missing here. So it's not complete. So if I add the classical systems, it's perfect. Now I'm talking about classical systems of dance. You know, I'm talking about classical systems of dance. So I'm particularly talking about dance. Okay, when I'm talking about dance and when I'm talking about the different classical systems of dance, then the auxiliary verb should be plural. So the classical systems of dance have many features in common. That would be the right way to change this question. If you look at this, you can see the answer. The classical systems of dance have many features in common. Okay, so the error is in the second part. We'll go to the next question now. Every one of the students has brought his identity card. Every one of the students has brought his identity card. Now, if you look at this sentence seems to talk about students in general. Okay, it seems to talk about students in general, but then it's not very general. Rather than it talks about individual students' responsibility. Okay, you have to treat the sentence in that way. So if you're treating the sentence as individual student's responsibility or an individual's responsibility, you will then be able to find the error. Now, every one of the students, this seems to be very general, every one of the students, okay, every one of the student, everyone literally means all, right, all of them, right, every one of the students has brought his identity card. Now here you see has brought. Has is an auxiliary verb, singular in form. His identity card. His again is singular. Identity card again is singular. You understand now things are things when everything seems to be singular. No, using everyone wouldn't be very appropriate. So it's better to say each one of the students, because I'm referring to particular students and telling them each one of you are responsible for bringing your ID card. You understand? So instead of everyone, if you use each one, it could be the right sentence. So if you look at the answer, it would be each one of the students has brought his identity card. This is how you have to, uh, you know, practice. Now, I think we completed around 15 questions in this video. I think I'll stop here and we'll continue with other questions in the next video. So, in this video, I've made it clear by introducing you few rules which you can remember, and what you have to do is you have to solve similar questions. So basically, if you go to Google and type error spotting or spot the error questions, you will get a lot of multiple choice questions. You can take them and start solving. Okay, and don't wait for me to complete the topic, because so far I've completed few rules. So till then you can keep practicing, because we have many more rules to come. So if you start learning everything, on the same day or in just 2 days or 3 days, it will really confuse you. So you have to start it right from today and try to solve all the questions that are similar to whatever I have taught you till now, and slowly we'll progress to the next goals. I hope you have enjoyed this video. If you have any suggestions or if you want to drop any feedback, please do it. This would improve the quality of the videos which I'm trying to post, and I hope these sessions would help you a lot in trying to prepare for your exams. So keep in touch and always stay motivated, because this topic, I mean, this subject is quite difficult if you're not interested. Thank you so much. See you in the next video.